this is Olympia and welcome to hopefully the final part of the ranking the romance tropes. I'm getting them done this year, so I don't know how long this video is going to be, but this is going to be the rest of them because I think 3 parts is long enough. It feels really weird like recording because so much has happened since I last recorded, which was the Winter Tokens video, I believe, was the last time I sat down and recorded, because I lost someone in my family, and obviously the Star Stable community lost someone. I hope you enjoyed this video, and hopefully it'll be the last part. Also, I changed my audio settings, so I have no idea how this is going to sound, but hopefully it will sound better. So, yeah, enjoy the video. Do you know what mutual pining is?
Is it when they both are pining for a relationship and decide to settle for each other?
No, it's where the two characters are pining for each other, but they don't tell each other. I think the annoying thing about mutual pining is they just don't communicate with each other. And I hate it when people don't communicate with each other because I don't get why you just wouldn't tell someone, you know?
Yeah.
As someone who hates misunderstandings and communicates with people pretty bluntly, and as someone that doesn't feel any romantic or sexual attraction to anybody, anything that requires misunderstandings or fast-paced romances, you'll never get me.
Feels cheap as well.
Yeah, I think mutual pining's really annoying. I'd say like 3 out of 10 because it's a build-up to a relationship. Like, slow burns have mutual pining in them. The mutual pining in a slow burn is fine, but like if it's mutual pining with no resolve at the end, it's kind of a bit annoying.
Same trope, different name in my opinion.
Yeah.
I can't see the difference between some of the other tropes.
Yeah, I think that is the thing, isn't it?
Now I'm thinking of Mr. Brightside.
Why?
Jealousy turning saints into Anyway, enough of my bad singing rendition of Mr. Brightside. This is basically love triangle but with extra steps.
Yeah, I think jealousy is really annoying because, again, lack of communication. I don't get it, personally, because I don't get why you'd be jealous of someone having a romantic relationship. Especially, I think the most annoying one is if they've already rejected them in some way, like the soft rejection I was talking about earlier.
Yeah.
And then they get jealous of them going out with someone. I think that's the worst part of it.
No, I agree. It's a very useless trope. I mean, if you like someone, but then they get with someone else, and you get all jealous, then that's kind of your fault because you didn't tell them in the first place that you liked them.
Yeah, I think the only time I can sort of like it, and this is like a very big stretch to make me like it, is if they were working up the courage to tell them, and then just before they told them, then the person gets like a partner that's not them. I think that's the only time I can like understand the jealousy and like sympathize. Otherwise, it's just kind of like you're a bit late, you know. You have plenty of time to tell them.
With a lot of tropes, but especially this one, it just depends on the situation and how it's written.
Yeah. I would say like 1 out of 10. Not my favorite trope.
2 out of 10. I'll be a little generous.
I have Undercover, but it's basically the same thing. Okay, quick fire round. Undercover, which is basically the same as fake relationship, but it's in a police setting, so like they have to pretend to be married to each other for like a case. Quick fire, it's basically the same as fake relationship, but with more steps.
5 out of 10 biased because Brooklyn Nine-Nine did it.
I would say 6 out of 10 because I understand it more than the fake relationship because there's actually a reason behind it. The wrong person. So person 1 goes for person 2, but then realizes they're actually in love with person 3.
That
sounds
very much like the whole that sounds very much like the trope where it's I was in love with my childhood friend this entire time, but then I tried getting with someone else, but in the process realized it was my childhood friend that I loved the entire time.
But only by the time they get around to realizing that it's the wrong person, the right person for them has moved on.
Sometimes that happens, but sometimes they'll have it so the right person actually forgives them and they get together. It depends on
characters, definitely. And storyline. I just think it's a really unsatisfying trope to read. I don't get it because I don't get how you would fall for the wrong person if you clearly like someone, because I've never been attracted to anybody, so that is my burden to bear. I don't understand how you would fall for the wrong person.
Well, feelings are complicated at the end of the day.
Oh.
It's very hard to actually tell them apart.
You know an example of this? Frozen.
I'd say 5 out of 10.
Okay, now that I've actually remembered that it's actually in Frozen, I'm going to say 4 out of 10. But only for Frozen, otherwise it's a 0 out of 10.
It's basically biased because Frozen.
I am biased. I'm sorry I like a movie that no one else seems to like. For an unknown reason, I'm actually running out of races. Oh my god.
Enemies to lovers, but with a different name.
No, rivals are like where you're friendly with each other outside of like the competition, but as soon as you're in the competition, you're... Yeah, it's kind of enemies to lovers. Right, skip over that one. Secret relationships.
This sounds like some of the other tropes.
No, forbidden love is like different to secret relationship, because secret relationship is where you're hiding the relationship from people for no reason, and I found, and then forbidden love is where you're hiding it for a reason. They're kind of the same thing, but kind of not. I just don't know how to explain it.
3 out of 10.
I actually really like secret relationship ideas, because it's much more interesting, because there's a lot more sneaking around, which adds more drama to it for me, because obviously romance is not very interesting to me, so you have to add something else to it to make it interesting. So secret relationships add that thing that make it interesting, of like, we can't tell anybody, and so it makes it much more interesting. And then the reveal at the end, oh yeah, we're married, we're together, whatever they've decided on, right, is much more satisfying, because you've watched them sneak around and then like they get caught in this one thing, and it's quite satisfying. And then at the end, they all are friends or whatever, or they cut people out their lives. So, win-win. So 10 out of 10, love secret relationships.
5 out of 10.
Love at first sight. I bet you know what I'm going to say this one.
This reminds me of the very cheesy pickup line. Hey, do you believe in love at first sight, or should I walk past again?
Yeah, I just don't believe in love at first sight at all. So, that basically gives me my rating. No.
Love at first sight sounds more like lust, in my opinion.
Yeah, that is what it is. Did you not?
Yeah.
There's been they did a research on this, and they said that men tend to think they fall in love in about 8 seconds, where it takes women about 2 to 3 weeks, I think they said, to like feel love instead of like lust. It's an interesting study. Don't know if it's true. If it's not, then oh well. Don't really matter, because I don't need to use that sort of thing. I don't know. Love at first sight doesn't make sense, doesn't exist.
0 out of 10.
Move on. Star-crossed lovers, where they both die at the end.
Romeo and Juliet out of 10.
Romeo and Juliet sucks. It's a 3-day romance that ends in 2 deaths. I just don't get star-crossed lovers. It's not really something that I read. It's not really something that I'm interested in, because it's so sad at the end. So like, you've set me up for this emotionally investing in characters, and then you're going to do that to me? Like, I don't get romance, and then you've just made it worse. So, this is not taking a jab at any authors that are like writing any of these.
This is going to be very controversial, but I think it would be a better trope if Romeo and Juliet wasn't so overrated.
I think you're right. I think because Romeo and Juliet's kind of like the standard, people think they have to die at the end. It's like, you can just break up, guys. Death seems a bit excessive.
Also, like, just don't kill them. Let them be happy. It's fiction. You don't need to, like, have every story end in heartbreak.
I think, yeah, it's just the unnecessary death at the end is just annoying.
Yeah.
Because, like, I don't understand romance at the best times, and then when you put it with death, it's just like, why would anybody want to be in love with people if they just die? It just seems a bit hazardous. So, both agree that 0 out of 10.
Yeah.
Reincarnated lovers. Like, they die and then they have to find each other in the next life. It's kind of a bit like soulmates, but with more steps.
It could, if written well, be very satisfying.
I don't think so. Why would it be satisfying to you?
Because they've been through so much, but then at the end get to be happy together.
I mean, they're always happy together, they just die and then they have to start it all over again. I guess the thing that I don't like about it is the fact that it's like the soulmates thing where you don't really get to choose, it's already chosen out for you. And I guess I just don't like that.
Yeah.
I don't understand how you could like the same person, like the probability that you'll fall in love with the same person every single lifetime is just so low.
Yeah.
I would say it's like a 2 out of 10 because I have read some stories where it's actually done quite well.
If they start off happy together, die, but then have to meet each other again, it kind of feels pointless because you're back to where you were at the start. Which is also a bit like with the whole amnesia thing. You're just giving them back what they already had. There's nothing new there. It's just what was already there, which was taken away.
Yeah.
Good subplot material, but having it as the main plot would feel kind of pointless.
Yeah, unless it was like, we have to find the person that I was with last life because I need something off of them, I guess. Or well, might be an interesting way of doing it.
No.
No? Okay.
Because then, if you're only falling in love to get something, then
yeah, but then isn't that just the fake relationship trope?
Yeah.
I don't know. I just not my thing. Romance books and plots are just not my thing overall. So I think I'm just a bit biased. Characters acting really domestic with each other, and it's bonus if it's not in a domestic setting. So like, they're going through slaughtering a load of zombies and they're just like discussing what they want for dinner.
10 out of 10.
Absolutely. It's like, I love characters being domestic with each other because it's just really cute and it adds to that feeling that they're actually in love with each other and not just like lust, which, you know, I mean, I don't understand either, but I can get behind, you know, romance more than lust.
Yeah.
And also, I just really, really like the humour that you find in like, oh, we're talking about what we're having for dinner, but we're also killing zombies. It's like in what is it, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, where they got Pimento and Rosa got engaged when they were like running through chasing a perp, you know? So 10 out of 10 trope, love that one. Meeting the parents.
10 out of 10.
I love this trope, especially like period pieces where one of them is a bit unconventional, so then they worry that the parents aren't gonna like them, and it starts off with a rocky start, and then they like one of them does something or says something that makes the parents kind of go, oh yeah, this is like perfect, you know, we're just totally on board now because, you know, can't find a better person.
Also, this would be an interesting trope in, like, fantasy with, like, half races and stuff.
Definitely.
Because obviously, you know, you could have, like, this half-elf who has a human mother and an elf father, and they're a, you know, half-elf, half-human. And they fall in love with, like, a elf or a human, and obviously you could have the human or elf parents be really sympathetic, but then have the opposite race be like, oh, I'm not too keen on this, but then at the end realize, oh wait, this is exactly what I was like when I was younger, and then come to accept the whole thing.
A bit like a mild forbidden love mixed in with it kind of thing.
Yeah.
Okay. So not like a full spice forbidden love where like they're hiding it in case of death, but like more like these two races just don't really date each other because there's tensions from like way back, but it's not forbidden. It just doesn't happen, kind of thing.
Also, it's what the parents did when they were younger. It's just they sort of forgotten, but then they remember, and then that strengthens the parents' relationship in the process.
Okay, so the ones that I read or like watch, usually they're in period pieces where the woman's quite unconventional, like wears trousers, drives fast, has opinions, doesn't want to get married, but is happy to like just kind of like tag along. Well, I wouldn't say tag along, they never tag along, but like, you know, has a partner but doesn't want to get married. Those kind of things that are really like unconventional for the time and like really, you know, for traditional parents are really bad, like really big hurdles to overcome. And then at the end of like the night where they've like had dinner together and it's been really rocky, and then they just say something that's like, I'm never gonna leave them, or something, blah 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 blah, you know. And then the parents realize that actually, this person's a really good fit for like their son, daughter.
10 out of 10.
10 out of 10.
No, 11 out of 10, just because if mixed with other tropes could be really, really nice.
I think meeting the parents is the perfect one that's like a palate cleanser. Almost.
Yeah.
One that can go with almost any other trope, and it would just work and make everything better.
Star-crossed lovers meet the parents.
But I said almost any other trope. In Star-crossed lovers, you meet the parents and you just die. Did we learn that with Romeo and Juliet? Yeah, I don't like this one.
I don't know what it is.
Cheating.
Oh.
I don't like this one because I don't get how you can fall in love in the first place, so I don't get how you can then cheat on the person you've somehow fallen in love with. Or you say you love. The worst times are where one cheats on the other, and the person that was cheated on forgives the person that cheated on them. This is going to get confusing. And then they work through it, and it's like, oh, it's a success story. But it's really not. It's just sad.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think I'm also a bit biased because you hear a lot about like cheating in secondary schools, and you're just kind of a bit over it by the time you get to being an adult.
1 out of 10.
I would say like the only way I can get behind it is if the person that was loyal rises up, knows their worth, breaks up with them, and then becomes more successful than them, because it's like just a bit of justice, you know?
Yeah.
That's the only way I'm actually going to like that trope. Otherwise, it is a solid no. It's a 0 out of 10, minus 100,000 million. Hate it. So I have some like partner tropes that I wanted to like just, you know, quick fire. Partner tropes are conventional people put together. For example, bad boy, good girl, that kind of thing.
So Grease.
Yes. Genuinely don't like bad boy, good girl, or good boy, bad girl. I just don't like that thing. It's not something that I'm like interested in. I think it's also unrealistic. In Grease, if we're going to use that example, Sandy changes herself for Danny, and I just don't like that.
That's very problematic. I mean, people changing for each other, very wholesome, sweet, but one person changing for the other person is not right.
If they like change with each other, there's a difference, because, you know, with each other, it's like small things. It's like Edward and Bella from Twilight. It's just so boring. There's no other way of putting it. It's just really boring.
Yeah.
So the Stoic one, that's like an emotional brick wall, and the Bubbly one.
9 out of 10.
I would say the same, but only if the Stoic one, I don't know how you say that. Stoic. Okay. Only if the
Pretty sure it's Stoic.
Stoic the best. I don't know. only if like the Stoic one is secretly quite emotional, but only when they're in the presence of like the Bubbly one.
Yeah.
Like they feel safe enough with the Bubbly one to be emotional. Otherwise, it just feels like one person's keeping the relationship going, and it's kind of a bit Like, why would you put yourself through that?
10 out of 10. Very interesting dynamic.
I love extrovert introvert because it's like one person drags the other out to parties, the other person makes sure they get home sober and, well, make sure they get home and you know, safe.
It also can lead to some interesting drama at points.
Yeah, definitely conflict, definitely interesting conflict. And I think it's a very sweet trope. I just think it happens a lot in real life as well. It's a very realistic pairing.
Yeah.
Next one. The rich and the poor. You know, where one's like a billionaire and the other one is like, works at Tesco's.
Unrealistic.
Very unrealistic. And I think also the class difference makes it really hard to read because you just know the rich one's going to like stick their foot in it at some point. People that have lived in poverty when they were younger and then date someone that hasn't had to worry about money in their entire life. That does happen in real life.
Yeah.
And I think the thing that they tend to find that they struggle with is understanding money on the same level, because one person's going to save it and hoard it and like be really worried about it all the time, and then the other person's going to spend it and like not be too concerned about the fact that they have to maybe save it in case something happens.
Yeah.
I think that can create some interesting conflicts in the story. I think if you make it too wildly different, like one's a billionaire and the other one works in Tesco's, you know, I think that's when it gets a bit annoying or unrealistic and uninteresting. Jock nerd.
2 out of 10.
I would say 2 out of 10 if it's the boy that's the jock and the girl that's the nerd, but I would say about 4 out of 10 if it's the girl that's the jock and the boy that's the nerd, just for subverting stereotypes. The jock always tends to be a bit of a douche. The only way I'd ever date someone platonically is if I like them as a friend, like you.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
so I don't get how you'd want to date someone romantically if they're a douche to you for most, like, the book, movie, whatever, until they have like this big moment where they're like, oh, you're actually quite pretty.
Douche to everyone else, but like soft to you is an interesting twist on the trope.
I don't like that actually, because I just think it's very, if they're a douche to everybody else and soft to you, then that's a red flag. The only way I can get like with a jock and a nerd thing is if the jock defends the nerd throughout the entire thing, and then it's revealed at the end it's because, or like revealed at some point that the jock is defending the nerd or all the nerds because he likes this one particular nerd.
That could be cool, yeah.
So it's like sweet, you know? Realist and Idealist. That's a mouthful.
Could work, but could work. That's my rating.
I like this one because the Idealist keeps the Realist from becoming like depressed, or like opens the Realist up a little bit more and makes them like a better person overall. I think usually happens because the Idealist makes the Realist, you know, have fun and dream, and like you don't have to believe it will come true, but it's fun just to do it anyway. I think the Realist then also keeps the Idealist in control. Like the one that I think I remember from this one is, if anybody's seen Enchanted, then Giselle is like an Idealist where she sees the best in everybody, and like she's all for like having everybody has like fairy tale endings and whatever. And Robert's the Realist, who is basically just like, that never happens. I'm a divorce court lawyer. I know what happens in marriages, okay, guys? And I think they work well together because she reminds him that just what he sees in work is not an accurate representation of what happens in real life all the time. He keeps her from being really, 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 really over the top, and reminds her that, yeah, it's nice to dream, but maybe like rein it in a bit. I would say I'm actually much more into this one than I actually thought I was. So I would say 7 out of 10. Neurodivergent and neurotypical. If anybody doesn't know what neurodivergent or neurotypical is, neurodivergent tends to be people that have a different neurotype. So like ADHD, autistic, I think that works really well together. I think it's a really sweet partner trope. Like,
Yeah.
Bones, Temperance Brennan, aka Bones, is coded autistic, and Booth, who is the neurotypical in that partnership, he kind of like understands her and doesn't make fun of her for her differences, and I think it's a really sweet thing. I think also the neurotypical being accommodating to the neurodivergent is something that should happen anyway, but it's really sweet and can lead to a lot of cute moments.
Yeah.
What about you?
8 out of 10.
I'd say 9 out of 10. I quite like it.
Yeah.
You don't, as a neurodivergent person, you don't have to have a neurodivergent partner to be understood. Anyway, last one. The short and the tall one.
Yes, 10 out of 10.
No. 4 out of 10.
Why?
I don't think height really matters.
It can be a very cute and fun dynamic.
I don't know. It just when you're tall and one's short, it just tends people feel like, I feel like people make it their whole personality in a partnership, and I don't know. I think you can make some cool fan art. It doesn't really affect the story. It doesn't really matter.
I'd say 8 out of 10.
8 out of 10.
I lowered it a bit, but still sticking with it.
Thank you, Ethan, for joining me.
No problem.
I've kept you for like an hour and a half.
Yeah.
So, thank you very much for watching this video. If you enjoyed, please leave a like and subscribe to my channel and follow my Instagram, OlympiaPeacechild. Follow my Twitch, OlympiaPeacechild. And I shall see you in another video.
Indeed.